all the people that are involved in a thing that don't get the spotlight.
Yeah.
That was the starting point. The work that we do that don't make the highlight reel. To even deeper, like the same through line around movement work. We're more than an advertising or creative agency. At a certain point, we decided that part of our mission was to also do social good, social impact, social justice. It came from this idea of like, think about the social movements that had to happen for someone like me, you know, a first generation immigrant, or really all of us, civil rights movements, right?
Yeah.
People that fought some of these fights knew they would never see the product of their work.
That's real.
Knew they would die before they would see it. Like this is it's a through line in humanity. And so what I wanted to, especially right now with social media and highlight reel of things, and especially on the creative industry where we're always highlighting like the dopest stuff
every time.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's real.
Don't forget this unseen work.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Are you ready? Are you ready?
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're tuning to the UpNUp podcast on the UpNUp network. I'm your host, Rebel.
And I'm DJ Erm.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you? How you feeling?
I'm blessed, man. Blessed, grateful.
Yep.
As usual.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Thankful for everybody in the room. Obviously, shout out to the team. Shout out to the guests, obviously. And if this is your first time tuning in, as I stated, this is the UpNUp podcast. This is the podcast where we're focused on cultivating culture. We do that by providing amazing stories of individuals, groups, the movers, the shakers, people who are breaking down barriers.
Yep.
Not only for all of us currently here, but for the next generation, right?
Yep.
Definitely want to make sure we're shouting out the family members, right? That's the consistent listeners, supporters, the community, right?
Community.
And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the family.
Yeah.
La Familia.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, sir.
You know, man, we're always excited to come in here and do these episodes. We get a chance to provide a canvas, right? For someone to paint their story, paint their picture. For those who may not be familiar. Today's guest is definitely someone who is a leader and a driver when you're talking about amplifying and just really building up the creative ecosystem here in the Northwest and beyond, for sure.
Yes, sir.
He is a creator and founder of the super impactful Milli Agency, which is helping build bridges both creatively and culturally, right? Here and beyond. In addition to that, he also serves as one of the commissioners within the Seattle Film Commission, right? Helping really provide and build up what that looks like, right? The film scene, the film ecosystem here in the Northwest, the Puget Sound region. Ultimately, man, he's a true culture cultivator, right? That's our, that's our coin thing that we like to champion people with. So he's one of those for sure. Super honored to finally meet this brother and have him join us today. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. Our guest is none other than the good brother himself, Michael Huang. Can we get a round?
Yeah.
Give it up. How you doing, brother?
Yes,
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here.
How you feeling, bro?
Just, trying to ride the wave. Lots going on in the world, lots going on in the community. Trying to count my blessings and do what's right, do what's good, do what's fire.
Yeah, sir.
I love that. Well, thank you for being here, bro. I know you're busy, but I always say it's long overdue, but right on time. That's how I feel about a lot of these episodes.
Yes,
right?
sir.
So I don't know how familiar you are with the show. We start every episode with the quote of the day, something to get the convo started. Vibe right.
Yes, sir.
Brother man,
All right.
What you got for us?
The quote of the day today is, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door.
I like that. Who's that quote by?
Milton Berle.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. What do you think about that quote?
I've built a lot of doors. I love that quote.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been said in a lot of different ways. I've had mentors tell me, I think I'm from the very, very hip hop side of things. Growing up, breakdancer, grew up with graffiti artists, and there's all that stuff like each one, teach one, and if it's not there, then create it. Make it. That entrepreneurial, enterprising spirit of like street hip hop culture has always been in me, and so it resonates deeply. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, it's like a kind of like a rebellious spirit you gotta have.
Yeah,
to build that door, for sure.
absolutely.
Definitely.
So Mike, can I call you Mike? Is that cool? Okay. So obviously our platform is built on allowing you to come here, tell your story, share about your journey. But before we get into that, I love to always start episodes getting a sense of what season folks are in. So if you can kind of describe the season you're currently in, how would you describe it?
Like season as in like kind of chapter in life type of thing?
I guess whatever you feel you describe the season you're in right now. All encompassing, I guess.
Yeah, I think the season that I'm in is kind of all of them at once, if I'm speaking to the weather or, because right now there's a lot of like, every day feels like there's like a new opportunity or a new idea, something new. And then there's kind of like a winter of that kind of falls down, and it feels like, oh, like we're coming down off the hype of it. And it can feel pretty dramatic, roller coasty. But I think like after the years I've had in the game, I feel built for it. And so to continue with the metaphor here, I feel built, I feel like I'm weathering the storm. And so the season feels kind of indiscernible from every other season I've been through. And so at the same time, it feels familiar, and that I can handle it. And that's a really great place to be in, I think, as an individual that has like a vision and wants to get things done.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, definitely. So Mike, just want to take it back. Just I guess speak upon growing up in Seattle. Like, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, man. I appreciate being asked that question. There's not a lot of people asking that question, right? And that's the point of this podcast is we can get real detailed about it. We can get really local about it. And I feel really blessed, first of all, growing up in Seattle, Washington, and truly Seattle, right? Like I went to I'm a product of the public schools here. I went to Wedgwood Elementary School up north. Ended up in Mercer Middle School down south. Got to experience the whole gamut. Got to experience the busing era of Seattle schooling.
Yeah.
If for those who know, that's a pretty iconic kind of. They called it. It was part of like the integration, efforts of Seattle, Washington. And so you had a lot of culture that came out of that era, and so I was part of the back end of that. Went to Ingram High School, and I was a kind of a problem child. My brother was the smart one. He was older than me. He was smart and he's studious. And my parents, were an immigrant family, so they put a lot of hopes and dreams onto him. So I got to run wild, right? So yeah, exactly, right. To a certain extent, they were mad at me all the time, but I was like, yeah, whatever, you guys okay. No, shout out to my parents. They sacrificed a lot, and they had a playbook that they had to run. And so, I got to, I messed around and got myself into some dirt and got myself into trouble here and there. But ultimately, I think I had really good people around me that guided me. And then I ran headfirst into, I think, hip hop culture, specifically breakdancing in high school. And that kind of just like switched everything up for me. I was a little lost, trying to figure out identity as one does when they're in their teens. And breaking just like anchored me. Like I had a crew, chosen family. I learned about, again, I didn't know this at the time, but I was learning about creative expression, self-expression. I was developing a personal style. I became, a choreographer, manager of my team, my dance crew. We started traveling and competing. And then I even got the opportunity to go abroad with my crew at a pretty young age. And so got to experience a lot of life early on, just again through having sneakers and
Yeah.
hitting
Yeah.
beats,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
that's the beauty of hip hop, right? You can do something like that. It's like basketball, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
for
can just
sure.
if you got skills and you can rock it, like you can go places.
Yeah, it
And
could take
so,
you, it could definitely take you places.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
and
for
you know,
sure.
I was never like athletic. You know, I'm Asian American. That was a struggle of mine. Like I'm not tall. I'm not, you know, and so something like that gave me a lot of like just empowerment. And
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
it activated me. And when I got to college, somehow I was able to pull that one off. I went to UW. Go Dogs! I know you guys are Cougars.
You know,
It's all
It's all
good,
love.
man.
We're on
It's
the-
all
it's all
love.
love.
higher,
for
higher
in-state.
learning for
Washington
everybody.
State. Washington in general.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
R.I.P. Mike Leach, man, he's a
Yeah.
legend. But you know, when I got to UW, you know, like the community opened up. I met so many more people.
Yeah.
You know, again, and I don't want to like miss this part, but growing up South Seattle, you know, being Taiwanese-American, East Asian, but also like just growing up around Filipino, Vietnamese, Eritrean, you
Mhm.
know, Ethiopian, Black Samoan, like that diversity of where I was coming from
Yeah.
also was a superpower that I did
Yeah.
not know I
Yeah.
had in the making.
Yeah. I'm actually curious, just to take it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think that's powerful that hip hop spoke to you that way
Mhm.
and helped you evolve.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times those are things that are seen as like hobbies or,
Yeah.
you know, whether even sports when you're
Yeah.
younger, they're like, oh, have fun with that. Little do you know, it's actually developing and building your character. So I'm just curious, like, at what point did you know, like, this is a thing for me? Because clearly you took off with it, you know?
Yeah.
And you committed to it. So
Mhm.
what was that? What kept you disciplined and like wanting to be good at that?
I mean, I'm not gonna cap about it. Like at first, it's like, oh man, this could get me girls.
There you
This
go.
could get me,
Yeah.
make me popular.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel good. I feel cool. But then, you know, learning about the history of breaking and b-boying,
Mhm.
learning about that being a very Afro, a Latino, like originating kind of cultural response to what was going on in the South Bronx,
Mhm.
realizing that like this was a gift being given to me through like this history and this heritage, and that like, and then being responsible about that.
Yeah.
That clicked for me when I got to college.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And realizing that these gifts were not just for vanity
Yep.
or just to look cool,
Yeah.
but that I was part of something.
Yeah.
And like I think that activated a switch in me that hasn't turned off, which is like the idea of community. I mean, we throw that word around a lot, but
Mhm.
like when you're really rooted in one and when they got you and like when they like understand you and you feel like you're part of like a club
Mm.
that like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I could go to like Slovakia
Yeah.
and I could find a b-boy and they would
Yeah.
like let me crash on their couch.
Y'all speak
Damn.
the,
You know
y'all
what I
speak
mean?
the same language.
Yeah,
For sure.
exactly.
Even
Yeah.
though you don't speak the same language.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Exactly.
Hip hop is a language.
Yeah, exactly. And that was so I hadn't experienced anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like most of my experience was, oh, I got to join a gang to have friends. I
Mhm.
guess. Like cool, I'll do that. You know what I mean? Like but this is allegedly. This
Yeah.
is this was different. And
Yeah.
so then when I got to like UW,
Mhm.
it was like, oh, the world expanded, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because there was the local homies and all that, and a lot of people doing dope stuff. You know, all the high schools were coming together at UW, so
Yeah.
that was cool.
Yeah.
But then there was all these people from other places, kids from other places,
Mhm.
and there was no hip hop club.
Mhm.
There was nothing there.
Mm.
There had been one. Shout out to Melly and Benito and all the OGs, Geo, and there was it was called Show back in the
Mhm.
day, and it's a big reason why we have a hip hop scene
Mm.
in Seattle still. And that was
Mhm.
like Macklemore and like all those Blue Scholars.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
that
Ooh, shout
died
out Blue
after they all
Scholars.
graduated.
Got you.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really a club, and so I started it
Mhm.
with a bunch of homies of mine, and we were just again like we were just trying to mess around, you know, just trying to like create something at
Yeah.
UW. We didn't
Mhm.
want to join like, you know, a business fraternity. Like we wanted
Yeah.
to see if we could start something that could go on the resume, but also do something cool. And that was my job through college. I built that organization.
Wow.
We
Wow.
threw shows, we threw competitions, but we also, most importantly, threw events for fans. And you didn't have to be just like a cold rapper or like a dope dancer.
Mm.
You could just be a fan and you could come and help us organize the events.
Mm.
You could be an officer. And so that taught me a lot about inclusion in a way that was pretty radical, I think, which was like, how do you create a place for community that went beyond just like the stars of the show, but
Mhm.
like how can you create an ecosystem?
Yeah.
And I think like you guys experience creating your podcast, like when you build something, like when you're in college and you experiment like that and you build something, you take what you care about, what you like, or what you love to do, and you turn that into this bigger thing that's bigger than you.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's so real. And I love that you're speaking about your experience at UW doing that, because I think a lot of times that is, some people see college as like a safety net and it's like, just get through.
Check it off.
Check it off.
Yeah.
But it's like within that time frame, you do have freedom to try, right? To
Play in the sandbox.
to develop yourself. So, well, I mean, first of all, that's dope to know that you're creating a legacy brand, right? Is it? Do you know if it's still going on?
Still going on.
Okay.
2007. So
wow.
Coming up on 20 years ago.
Wow.
I still take interns that come out of there. They apply to Milli because there's a connection. I lost touch with them for like 5 years, but I got invited back to speak about my founding of it. That legacy, I just want to say this, like, to drive home this point, that like when you're in school, especially if you do get to go to college or you go somewhere where you have this opportunity to build something at low risk, do it, because I still like, it's still my greatest source of like talent and hiring, like for my company now, which we'll get to. And my business partner, one of my best friends, is someone I met through that, Chike. I still mentor folks. Like, they all have, like, I've told them, like, please let people know that they have like a VIP access to my time if they're a UW HHSA,
nice,
alumni.
Yeah.
So it's, it's kind of like, I mean, from a real, it's kind of like the nepotism that white folk have built. So it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, that's, and like building those, like, that legacy, those connections is important.
That's powerful, bro.
Yeah, that's dope, man. So transitioning out of UW, what was like your first move, your first step?
Yeah, it was crazy, man. So I went to UW for business school. I was a marketing major, and then when I graduated, I had already been interning for Red Bull as well. So that was a force multiplier on everything.
Okay.
And this was like back when Red Bull was like the ones doing, like, they were throwing beat battles and DJ events and stuff. So they were sponsoring everything I was doing. So that was like a big moment for me. I was still a teenager essentially, and like I was already like getting into the scene of Seattle, throwing events at clubs, and I was a promoter for parties locally. And then when I graduated, that was the Obama recession, so 2010, and the jobs were kind of it was
tough.
It was a financial crisis, the housing collapse, and so I didn't know what I was going to do. Red Bull was not about to pay me nothing. Shout out to that brand, but they're a fun brand. They're not like you get paid.
Right.
And again, I have immigrant parents. So they were like, cool. You want to break dance forever? You're going to, all right, cool. Yeah, mom, I'm going to get a job. So I tried to find something, and I was able to use social media as kind of the way to like, get into a professional setting.
Got it.
And this was at the time, I would say, like, the way we talk about AI right now. This is when social media, like Twitter had just kind of come out. Instagram was not out yet. So it was like Facebook was introducing like the like button. Like I had an interview where someone was like, how long have you been poking people on Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
What a time.
Poked 5 people this morning, like that was an interview question. And I was like, really? Okay. Yeah. And so social media was so hype that I honestly just rode that train and that wave into a job. And I bounced around a lot of companies before I found myself in the ad agency world, which frankly, and this is part of what I'm trying to do now, is like, I didn't really know anything about that world, but there are apparently amazing companies, agencies of the year type, award-winning spots that were doing campaigns for the biggest brands in the world and working with will.i.am and they're in our backyard, and I had no idea about them.
Wow. And
so I got lucky. Someone kind of introduced me to them, and then I got to work in an advertising agency, and that was like a whole new chapter that started.
Yeah. And along your journey, I did, just doing some research, you ended up in New York, right?
Yep.
And so what was that like going there? I feel like the markets definitely matter, right? Would you say? But like, what was it like going to New York? And I would say at that time, it seems like you're probably fully into the ad agency space, right?
Yeah. So I would say again, partly because of the social media bubble, it was like a accelerator for me.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people have to like work their way up
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Got it.
But I was put in a social media role. I think at that time I was one of like 50 nationwide like social media marketing folks at an ad agency, like a
Yeah.
global agency level.
Mm.
And so like there weren't a lot of us. And so as soon as I got like a year under my belt, I was getting offers, just like headhunters were coming for me.
Wow.
Damn.
I was like 20, and I'm not even trying to glaze my own skill set. Like they weren't
Yeah.
even looking at what I did.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
just like, you have experience?
We need that. We need that on
like,
our team.
like not just like doing BS online, like you
Right.
actually work somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
So because it was early days, and so I got recruited by one of the oldest and kind of like Madison Avenue legacy ad agencies of New York,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a big deal, big decision personally, but like in the classic Seattle way of doing things, I said, "F it, I'm gonna go try New York," and so I moved to New York in 2013, and upended my life, and it was the most tumultuous, chaotic, insane time of my life. My dad had passed away like in this like same
Yeah.
chapter,
Yeah.
like abruptly,
Mm.
and it was also part of a driving factor. It was like he like kind of like the narrative was like he worked his ass off his whole life for me, so I gotta go and get this dream
Yeah.
Yeah.
to show him
Right.
Yeah.
his to give him his like do justice to his sacrifice.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I went to New York. I didn't know nobody. I crashed on a distant friend's couch for a while, and worked at this huge ad agency that was like very cutthroat. It felt like Game of Thrones in there. You know what I mean? Like it was legacy. They had been working with JP Morgan Chase for like 80 years,
Okay.
doing
Damn.
all their ads.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It was nuts, right?
Mhm.
Like
It was like small fish in a big pond
yes,
type of feeling.
and
Yeah.
it was eye opening, right? Like
Mhm.
I felt like I was from like a small town,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and I quickly learned about the caliber, the rigor, the level, the expectations and standards
Yeah.
that are expected of you
Mm.
when you work at that kind of level. I was a lead social strategist on United Airlines as the main agency for them.
Mm-hmm.
I was in rooms with, at the time, the CEO, Jeff Smisek. I was, 23 years old, 24 years old, trying to pitch them on Instagram. You
Yeah.
got to get on it. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like
Damn. That's
it
crazy.
was crazy to be in those rooms at the time. And most importantly, I was just soaking all this game up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And meanwhile, navigating like upending myself, a South End kid that cared all about community and was throwing dance events and
Yeah.
hip hop jams in Seattle. And
Mhm.
all of a sudden,
It's
I
kinda
don't
night and
have
day.
that. You can't do, and also that's another, I was in the big leagues for that. I was like, I can't go into New
Yeah.
York and throw a hip hop event. Like,
Yeah.
get in line or
yeah.
just got to be a fan again,
For
Yeah.
sure.
you
For
know, and I
sure.
got to like go to practice and just
yeah.
meet people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that was a humbling experience, taking the tools with me and none of the network and none of the clout that you get in the smaller space,
Yep.
and just being like, just coming up and being cool
Wow.
and meeting people and being decent.
Yeah.
So that was the other side of it after
Mm.
work.
Got
Yeah,
you.
powerful, bro.
Yeah, I kind of want to ask you, like, especially like going to New York, saying you didn't know anybody, and you're just kind of like, it's almost like you're thrown in the fire, like
Yeah.
all the rigor and all the stuff you're learning about it. Like, how did you pretty much like balance like remaining yourself and like kind of not falling into like imposter syndrome in a way?
I didn't.
Oh,
I was- fell face flat in
Yeah.
imposter syndrome for sure.
Yeah, it's
But
like a
then-
constant theme, so that's why. Yeah.
I mean, I think the great thing about, somebody said it differently. It's not imposter syndrome. It's actually that the world is, I had one, but basically it flipped it. Like
yeah,
we don't like, I think there's a TED talk about how it shouldn't be called imposter syndrome because
Mm.
the recognition is that we're all winging it.
mm-hmm.
That's
Wow.
a fact.
And so
Wow.
what I realized was that I looked to my left at this agency and some girl from Ohio was trying to fake it till she made it. I looked to my right, and yeah, even my boss was figuring it out too.
Yeah.
She's not from New York because New York is one of those places no one's from there, at least in
Right.
those buildings. Unfortunately, that's a
Yeah.
whole nother issue. But like, I realized like, whoa, everyone
Mhm.
is winging it, figuring out, kind of BSing it,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, it was comforting in its own way.
Right.
The beautiful thing is, the same thing happened to me that happened to me in Seattle. Was hip hop grounded me. So I would get off work and jump on these trains, these sardine cans, and I would go all the way from Chelsea to Flushing. Is the longest route, right? Like
Wow.
at the end of the 7 train.
Okay.
And I would go and practice at the YMCA with all these Dominican and black B-boys from Queens and Brooklyn. And they welcomed me in
Yeah.
instantly.
Mm.
And, you know, they're not faking it because
Right.
they're just from there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they brought me in. They invited me to their homes, their family cookouts. And
Mm.
I immediately, like, I had friends that were transplants that were jealous of me. They were like, I've lived here for 2 years. I haven't made a local friend.
Wow.
And again, that hip hop card helped me
Yeah.
so much. And I have lifelong friends still out there. Shout out to Supreme Beings crew.
Yeah.
You know, like, I have people there that hold me down, that made me feel like I had family in New York
Right.
City.
That's real.
And I think that that's the part that also can snap you back into reality, is
Yeah.
that when you have community, that's the ultimate trump card for any of this stuff.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
right,
Because I
man.
feel like the work we do doesn't fully define us anyway.
No.
And you got to maintain, like you're saying, that's a good question, because you got to maintain yourself.
Yeah.
Regardless of what level you're at.
100%.
I love that, bro. Now, obviously, as mentioned in the intro, with the work you're doing with Millie, it's known you guys have established yourselves as one of the, top performing ad agencies, right? Creative agencies. Whether it's working with, the likes of Microsoft, Netflix, Goodwill, as we were talking about.
Mm.
The list goes on, right? But you don't just get there overnight, right? And I feel like I'd love for you to talk about kind of those early days of starting Millie.
Yeah.
You guys launched in 2014, right?
Yeah, technically that's when we launched to the world. Long story short, I quit my agency in New York after some thought, and I wanted to strike out on my own.
Yeah.
I saw an opportunity to do that, and I didn't mean to leave New York, but I started to come back to Seattle because I had more free time. Lord knows I had none before when I worked there full time.
Mhm.
So I wanted to come and see my mom and all that, friends. And then one thing led to another, and I was pulled into some, because back then, like, freelancing is big now, but back then, like, you were called a consultant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
even, there was one, I worked out of the original WeWork, and I met like the founder, and
Oh, wow.
I went to a weird party for sure. Like, it was a different time.
Yeah.
And so, I got in with like some startup people. I was just trying to experiment, trying to see like where things could go.
Mhm.
And then, I got in with a group of folks I would consider like kind of mentors. They were older than me, and they were all accomplished. One of them, worked in the governor's office at the time and had been published in like magazines and did a TED Talk. And he had been like a board member of a nonprofit I was working on. So they were trying to like figure out the social media thing.
Got
And
it.
so I came in and said, hey, I'm down to help. And so this was the beginning of Millie. We were called Social Millie at the time, focused
Okay.
on social media.
Okay.
And we were one of the only agencies called a social media agency specialized in that.
Mhm.
And there was only even 2 in Seattle at the time.
Got
Damn.
it.
So we moved at a very early moment in social media marketing. It was crazy. Like, we were out working out of my best friend's living room. We had no office, this classic story, like,
Yep.
had nothing. I was driving my grandma's I sold everything when I moved.
Mhm.
So I was living at my mom's house. I was driving my grandma's old Honda with the frog lights. I was getting, I think, our first client. We had like a couple of weird clients, but my first real client was Little Woody's. Shout out to Marcus Hilario.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Little Woodies.
Yes,
He gave
sir.
me a shot because I was a promoter for his clubs back in the day. We were getting, $1,500 a month to do their social.
Yeah.
And that was I was living off that. And that was, 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dope.
I didn't want to fast forward the departure from New York, but I'm just curious about the mindset of, I don't want to say conforming and to creating, because it was a great great opportunity at the time.
Yeah.
But like, what is that? What was that in you to say, yo, I got to do my own thing? Because I feel like I don't want to gloss past that, because I feel like that's what a lot of people may be struggling with in their positions.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Not to go full Gary V on him, because
You got time.
he's I try not to be as hyperbolic as him.
Yeah, he's
But
aggressive.
Shout out Gary Vee though,
yeah.
man, for real.
I've always known, like, whether it was being a problem kid when I was young, being called anti-authoritarian when I went through my whole activist, like, stage in college, just being black sheep of the family. I always had trouble just, like, being a subordinate. And this has nothing to do with ego. It has nothing to do with, like, oh, I think I'm the best at something, or I'm like, I should be the leader. This is the most important part. It was recognizing that, whoa, like, when I started the UW Hip Hop Club, when I threw these dance competitions, and then when I go and work at these companies, I can feel my brain chemistry changing. I just am. People are like, why'd you start Milli? I was like, because I needed to be my own boss.
Yeah.
Not because I wanted to.
Yeah.
Because I realized I'm wired in a way that I cannot be an employee of someone.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock on people that want to like help or be a part of something and have a leader above. That is not it's just it's a self-awareness thing.
Yeah.
And realizing that I was a dysfunctional, like, subordinate. I was a dysfunctional person that if I was not leading or creating something, I'm much better. I'm much more sound. I'm much more self-actualized if I'm in a position of leading and creating something.
Yeah, and that's awareness too. Right?
That's just awareness.
That's self-awareness.
I'm a builder.
Yeah, and some people ignore that.
Yeah.
Right, and then it can be frustrating for them to stay.
Or they take it to the head and get narcissistic about it.
Yeah.
And it's not that. It's just knowing, like, I'm just and now I'm in the place where, like, I'm all about getting out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, I've taken that to a new evolution of, like, people are like, you want to review this, or do you want to, like, be in this meeting? I'm like, no, you got it.
Yeah.
Like, I really genuinely don't need to be in the weeds, like, because I'm better up here.
That's real.
And I'm just better figuring out this stuff. You're better at, like, and this is part of the larger conversation about creatives is like, you don't have to be the star of the show or the director. Sometimes you can be the producer.
That's right.
And that is important. And like, and the people that are good at that should understand that about them or find that about themselves soon.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, man, because it kind of feels like when you're trying to build something or you are building something, and then you go back to, like, you kind of feel like you're taking a step back, even though you're not. It's just kind of like the feeling of, like, all right, I'm like you said, it has nothing to do with ego, but you're just like, I think I'm a little bit above this, like, mentally, you know what I mean? So
Vic Mensa just posted something about that, because he was on the Chance album, and he was talking about how it's like, especially as an artist, like, they're kind of being pushed to be narcissists all the time.
Yeah.
He had to learn how to get out the way and be part of someone else's story.
Right.
And I think that, like, that's a beautiful thing that doesn't get talked about a lot. I learned it from my hip hop experiences. When I was a B-boy, I was definitely not the most athletic, not the fastest, not the strongest, but I had a good sense. I was the floor general. Yeah. Like, I knew who to go. I knew tactics. I knew when to throw the routines in the battle. Yeah. I knew how to get everyone up for practice. Yeah. And I played my role. And then even when I was trying to be a rapper for a small second, do not try to research that. I quickly realized I should be the manager.
Yeah.
So I transitioned. I was on a few songs, and then I was like, guys, I'm gonna be the manager. And I became a great manager for a lot of friends of mine, and even like later on, like, I got to manage some artists that, like, I almost got into that whole game, and I decided to get paid. So,
I love that though. I love that. So I guess back to kind of the buildup of Milli. Like as you're growing that, I know part of what you discuss is, really community focused, right? People first, and really just focusing on how to still maintain the same principles of the advertising world, but doing it in a way that fits the vision you have for it. So, like, how did that vision start to come to fruition for you all?
Yeah, I think Milli has taken a lot of forms over the years. At first, like I said, it was just more of an experiment to see if I could make something that was like a sustainable, a college club is one thing, but, like, making a real job out of something, being able to pay bills is another. So it was at first really an experiment, but then I quickly realized that, like, well, I wouldn't. Why would I just make something that I've already worked for?
Mm.
Like, can I do it different? Because I am different. And
Mhm.
like, you know, I always, when I worked at these agencies, I mean, now they're different. Like all the guys, they'll wear Jordans and hoodies, but like I had to dress a certain way. I had to hide a lot of things. I had to talk a certain way. I had to
Yeah.
join
Yeah.
the March Madness bracket that I didn't
Yeah.
want to. You know, like you had to play the office politics.
Yeah.
Right.
And then now it's like way more chill, and I love that. And I think part of it because people like me, our millennial generation of
Mhm.
like pushing that, right?
Right.
And changing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do that with Milli. I saw what the startup world was doing at the time. They were having like, you know, they had like Nerf guns at the office. You
Mhm.
know, this is, you know, early 2010s. So, and then I also saw this. DEI wasn't around yet, but I was like, there was so many people from the South End, like Jordan Nicholson, Paradise, you know,
Yep.
Heracles,
Yeah.
like people I knew that were cold at stuff. And like, they would never get talked to
Mm-hmm.
by these people in the advertising
Mhm.
industry.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I see their stuff in the decks all the time.
Yep.
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 And I'm like, okay, I think instead of me trying to play the game that everyone else has played, why can't I use these superpowers, right? And that's what I was talking about earlier is like, how can I turn my community, my experiences into I'm a bridge right now. I have
Yeah.
like all these kind of disparate experiences that I never thought, I always thought I had to separate them.
Mhm.
Like Milli was the opportunity to bring it all together.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So that's where Milli became, all nested under just like the practice of, all right, I have the advertising like pedigree, the rigor. I saved the spreadsheets.
Yeah.
I saved, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
I Mega Man'd all that stuff and I like tucked it away
Yeah.
so that I could then build out like the infrastructure and the processes that you need to be a respectable and functional or credible ad agency, creative agency.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
All the meanwhile, I was like, I'm gonna figure out a way to get all the people I know into the scene.
Mhm.
I'm gonna coach them up. I'm gonna give them the opportunities, and we're gonna change this.
I love
Yeah.
that.
And now it's like that's actually become really ubiquitous, which I love. You know, like you go to
Yeah.
New York and LA, and even in Seattle, there's multiple companies that are doing it this way,
Mhm.
and I love
Yeah.
to see it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's amazing, bro.
Yeah. I also want to ask you, like, when you first started Milli, like, what were some of the challenges that you faced, and like, how did you pretty much like push through it?
Figuring out how to file taxes as a business owner.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all the resources that you see on Instagram for freelancers and they didn't exist. I didn't have I
Yep.
didn't know have the CYNC or whatever. I didn't have no. I didn't know. There were no freelance communities. It was a bunch of startup guys, broke startup people that we work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, jokes aside, I think number one was a lot of logistic stuff. So like for anyone trying to go through that, like please just know everyone else is and
Right.
like ask. Like,
Yeah.
hit me up if you want to learn about B&O taxes. I got you.
Yeah.
Like SB 5814 that's coming out right now is going to affect everyone. I got you. I'm doing the research.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of friends that helped me out through that. But I think the real thing was this whole hustle, entrepreneur, time management, you know, what was it, like 4-hour work week thing that was going on, especially at the time, that we're I think unraveling right now. It's still kind of there where you gotta like, you know, rise and grind and like always be killing it and always be making money and always and I got wrapped up in that and I went to the hospital. Like I had like a panic attack and I like, you know, all the all-nighters at Odegaard, all of the hustle that I did as a kid didn't push me there, but running a business and then thinking that I had to like literally like be crushing it at every moment was a rude awakening. And then as a man changed my perception of how it was to move in this world as a human being and how to like treat myself and that so I could show up. You know, I went through tough moments where the people around me like were like, Mike, what is going on with you?
Yeah.
Like you're like unhappy.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, and I absorbed a lot of like I just shouldered a lot of weight and I also part of it was like, oh, I got to do this. I got this big dream and it's more important than anything. And I'm
it's ambition. Ambition can blind you sometimes.
It can blind you. And I think that that was the biggest learning curve. And then when I got through that and now I know it's a lifelong practice. It's like therapy. It's like anything, mental health, realizing like, this is not it's not that serious. Like, unless you're maybe like curing cancer or trying to free Palestine, you like we're just selling stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and like we got to be able to take it back and be like, hey, like, guys, it's all good. Take it easy. Take a deep breath. So that was probably the most important lesson I learned, is just managing it all, and then realizing like hustle culture, and especially this world we live in where like America, capitalism, it's always telling you like produce, make stuff, look cool all the time, like always be winning. You know what I mean? Like, you know, just like be flaunting, flexing all your stuff. You know, all the cliches of that. And then like, what about the moments in the gym? What about the shooting slumps? What about the tough moments where you're neglecting your family because you're working too hard? Those conversations. I mean, those don't need to be on highlight reels, but like we need to be able to have space for them somewhere.
No, that's
definitely.
Real.
I like the fact that you brought that up, because I remember that kind of like era where it was like self-made. I got to do everything myself in this kind of like, you burn out. And I think like now we're kind of going through a shift where we're like, we got to start taking care of ourselves, you know, and like pretty much build a team around us at the same time. So just based on that, like how important would you say like building a team out is, you know?
Everything. Yeah. I you know, one of the things that has become really important to me in my journey in life in general, especially being a child of immigrants, especially having a lot of like, you know, trying to navigate, being a man of color in this world right now, is accountability, is asking for help, is, you know, saying like, you know, I can't do it all. And that's been also a big part of that. Like what I just talked about realizing like, how do you move through all this? And one of my lessons in starting Milli, I was never interested in being like a CEO with a bunch of subordinates either. I wasn't like, oh, I don't want to be an employee, but I want to have a bunch of employees. That wasn't my thing. I just wanted to do my own thing.
That's real.
You know what I mean? But I needed help. And naturally, and it, you know, like they make fun of it now. It's like, oh, it's like, does your boss call you your family member? Like, that's funny. Like they sign your checks, right? Like, realizing there's this honesty that you need to have. And again, self-awareness about if you are in a position of power, and you're asking your friends to come work for you or do a job for you, you need to understand how to operate within that. And so I've lost close friends. I've burned bridges. I haven't done anything bad. It's just, you know, things have been tough, right? And it's in Seattle, like it's a small place, and I've learned a lot about how important it is that you put people first. And people includes yourself, like you as a human, like putting yourself in a place to be able to like have capacity for relationships, capacity to listen. And all that has trained me to be a better man in my own life, to have better confidence. And if I want to raise a family, whatever, all those things has been the greatest lesson for me. And so all that to say, at Milli, building a team has been the most important and the most challenging thing. I think long term. Now, like it's the biggest thing that campaigns, doing creative work, executing stuff, you know, making money, whatever, becoming successful, you know, all that stuff is feeling like, okay, that's just iterative. I have the formula. I can keep pushing that. I'm ambitious. I already know I can do all this stuff. But it's this part of like managing people, morale, helping them grow, creating a really safe place for all people of different types of like real inclusivity, like not just like everyone looks like they're from a Gap commercial. No, it's like there's neurodivergent people in your office. There's queer people in your office. Are they feeling comfortable? Are they feeling safe? Like there's quiet people. There's louder people. That's real. How do you balance the energy in a creative brainstorm? That's so real. Everyone can get heard. Okay, well, the loudest people are probably going to just talk over the people that are. How do you bring them out of their shell? These are such nuanced things, and I'm not an HR person, so it is a lot. But it's the people part of the business, whatever business you're in. I think is the most important part of it, and that's the real work. If we're gonna just tear away DEI and we're gonna tear away all like the pleasantries and the buzzwords around mental health or community, that's the real work. Is just being there every day through the tough stuff. Having the hard conversations.
That's real, bro.
Messing up, having a bad day, and then coming back to work and being like, guys, my bad. And if anyone wants to talk about it, Let's talk about
Let's
it.
talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I love that, bro. I love that. I think today too we live in an era where transparency is more normalized more, but you got to have empathy, right? And what you're talking about is real because I feel like as much as you are great and skilled and talented at your job, the person that is coming in is probably just as important, if not more important, right? So that's a separate job along with the job you got to do.
You could be the greatest musician of all time, and if you're treating people like crap,
Yeah,
people are going to stop listening to you. So
Exactly.
the bar is set, like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
like it's not cancel culture. It's just like, ooh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta,
yeah,
it's
no,
part
for
of the
sure.
game. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
real. That's real. I did want to touch on I guess a philosophy. I was doing some research on you. I saw you've done a TEDx talk, and there was a quote in there that I wanted to bring up and have you elaborate on. It's about invisible work. And the quote is, "The unseen actions we take today create momentum for action, change, and visibility of tomorrow." But I would love for you to describe what you meant by that because I feel like that's it's very powerful, bro.
First of all, shout out to Chike, my guy, who helped me wordsmith that.
There you go.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
I was having a nervous breakdown around the TED Talk, and he was just there with me the whole night while I was reworking it, and he was helping me through it. So again, team.
Yeah.
Mhm. And it was at UW, right?
It was at UW.
Yep.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. So the point of that talk was, so the theme. So TED Talk has themes. So the theme was, I think it was something about invisibility or visibility of some sort.
Okay.
And so what I wanted to talk about was this through line between, my day to day, which is like, I'm a strategist and a
Right.
producer. So I'm the one that creates a bunch of stuff that ends up on the desk of a director or a designer, and then they often get the credit for that stuff, which is fine, right? And so there's this element of like this narrative around like, just like right now we're on the podcast, but like there's sound, there's camera department, there's a lot of people involved, right?
Yep.
So all the people that are involved in a thing that don't get the spotlight.
Yep.
That was the starting point. And then I expanded that outwards to like a lot of different elements in our lives, whether it's, the work that we do that don't make the highlight reel, to even deeper, like the same through line around movement work, which is a really big part of what Milli does. We haven't gotten to it, but we're more than an advertising or creative agency. At a certain point, we decided that part of our mission was to also do social good, social impact, social justice. And we've been blessed to have a lot of opportunities and a lot of trust in that world. And I think that that's what I was trying to do is connect those things. And, that quote, it came from this idea of like, think about the social movements that had to happen for someone like me, a first generation immigrant, or really all of us, civil rights movements, right?
Yeah.
That allowed Chinese immigrants to continue to work on the railroad, right? These things are interconnected, and I read somewhere, I hate that I can't attribute it, but people that fought some of these fights knew they would never see the product of their work.
That's real.
Knew they
Wow.
would die before they would see it.
That's
Wow.
real.
People that fought slavery, right?
Yeah.
Knew that they would not actually get to experience the freedom that they were fighting for.
That's real.
Even Star Wars Andor has quotes about this.
That's right.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's a through line in humanity. And so what I wanted to, especially right now with social media, and this was like a couple of years ago now, but like social media and highlight reel of things, and especially on the creative industry where we're always highlighting like the dopest stuff.
Every time.
Yeah.
And you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah, that's real.
Don't forget this unseen work,
Yeah.
and don't discount it, right?
Yeah.
Even from an equity perspective, when men are like, yo, I did all this on my own, they got wifey at home
Yeah.
handling all the kids.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
we have to as a society recognize that there's an ecosystem around us and that everything's connected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. The American way is to be very individualistic, and I believe, as being a product of both the East and West, that there's this also collectivist community aspect of things that's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a village, all the tropes.
Yeah.
And so really that quote was about that and recognizing that, and also being able to like embody that in what we do.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's so real, bro.
Yeah.
Because I have
that's dope.
I had a thing where I said you got to be focused on everything in between the wow moments.
Yeah.
Right. Because we're only gonna have but so many wow moments in our lives.
Mhm.
Right. Whether it's closing a deal, getting married, graduating, like, but in between those moments is where life is really happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of my way of staying focused, you know, and plus those wow moments are short lived. They come and go.
Yeah.
They fleet. So I love that, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Yeah. And also, just want to give you a chance to actually like explain like what you guys do at Milli.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I think creative agency gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
Creative directors are everywhere. And shout out to them. Keep doing it. Keep pushing it. I think, and I think that the tricky thing is labeling things right now, especially if you're on like the bleeding edge of stuff, is tough. And so, you know, Milli, we are a creative agency, which is kind of technically an ad agency in some ways. We started as a social media agency, and then we grew towards the content creative side of things, because social media also meant like running ads, and we didn't want to run ads. We wanted to make stuff. And so we shifted towards social creative or content creative. That's what we were called at one point. And then Mike Brown was murdered in 2016, and we realized that we needed to get involved.
Right.
And so we started doing work. Me and my team started getting involved in local organizing. We started going to national organizing events, and we got in with a group called Radical Communicators Network. And then from 2016 till now, our work has slowly and now become almost half focused on social justice, social good, social change movements.
Yeah.
And I think that's really unique about us as a creative agency, or we call ourselves a purpose-driven creative agency.
Yeah.
Is that like, we do Microsoft and we do Goodwill and we do like consumer brands. You know, we've done Talking Rain, we've done, you know, Netflix, you know, all that, like big brands, which gets us into the right rooms and gets us like the awards and the portfolio stuff. And then we turn around and we get to work on we got to work on the Juneteenth, like national live stream for Movement for Black Lives right after George Floyd. We got to travel and shoot a criminal justice reform docuseries for a national justice reform organization. And, you know, got to bring a all Seattle crew on that. We went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
That's amazing.
Nice.
And got to shoot in one of the murder capitals, you know, and got to tell stories like that. We got to work on an economic justice project called Broke that we got to brand ourselves from the scratch, talking about all the movements from $15 minimum wage to agricultural workers' rights, and create a narrative change around what it really means to talk about poverty and what it means to talk about economic justice in the United States. And we got to, and those tools are being used by comms strategists and narrative change strategists right now to move their organizations and move their constituents forward. And so I got told, I'll end this story soon, but that I got told by mentors and I got told by a lot of business folk, like, oh, you get political, man, you're going to like shoot yourself in the foot. All it's done is given us a lot of more great work, a lot of work that we feel really good about. I mean, shout out to Adrienne Marie Brown. We're working with her and her team. Emergent strategy right there. It's been the most satisfying work that makes me proud to be doing what I do, because Lord knows I've sold a lot of sugar water and beer and airline tickets and all that to sell to help sell important narratives that will hopefully change our country for the better and change our communities for the better. It's been really, really rewarding, and it's given us, maybe we've lost some clients, I don't know, but we've gotten the right ones.
I kind of want to ask you, like, for, I guess, companies and people who are starting businesses kind of like in a similar kind of situation as far as like trying to balance like their social mission with their business goals. Like, what advice do you have for that?
I mean, it's the same advice that we've been talking about, right? It's like, what's real to you?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And also if you don't have a blueprint for that, because a lot of times in this business building space, we're always looking for blueprints or someone else to tell us how to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like that's the whole hustle thing that we talked about.
Yep.
It's like, again, if there's no door there, then build it. Right. Like,
Yeah.
and
go.
and I'm not saying I did all this off the strength of my own ideas or thinking, oh, there goes my bracelet. But the blueprint wasn't there. I had pushback, there wasn't there were pieces, like I have a mentor here. There's a model over here. Oh, I saw this one company over here.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
And so the main thing I had to do was make sure that it felt honest,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then sandbox it, figure it out.
Yeah.
So my advice to people, whether you're starting a coffee shop or you're starting a creative agency, number one, don't be afraid of taking a point of view.
Yeah.
I think that it's so important right now. Neutrality doesn't really get you that far, and if it gets you like an early spurt of things, if you can make a couple early wins, it's not the championship winning approach.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's
You need, people talk about differentiating yourself. You need to have an edge. You need to have you have to have a strong why.
That's
Yeah.
real.
And you can't get to a why without having a point of view.
That's real.
And in this world right now, if there's not something political, something world societally that you're looking at, like, then you don't have a point of view.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's real, bro. And I also feel like you have to convert what you're doing to the real world in some way.
100%.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what you're getting at is we have to be a part of the world. Right. Not just, like you said, the consumer world, but like the real world. And I think that's a part where I feel like it's a no-brainer for people to try to connect with what's happening on the ground. But it has to be authentic and aligned, right? Because we've seen people who will say the right things because it will align them and make them look great for the optics. So
100%.
you just have to know that you're doing it for the right reasons. But yeah, I love that, bro. I love that you could explain that balance, because it's important, man. We all have these platforms and these vehicles, and there's so many ways in which we can drive them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I haven't figured it out loud. Like, I'm still, playing. I'm still in the game.
It's in the attempt, I feel like.
Yes, sir.
But it is, I think, again, like at the end of the day, it's a worthy endeavor. And it's important to try to blaze that trail if you have the wherewithal, if you have the privilege to, if you have the resources to do that. It's actually a responsibility at that point. Right. Like, if you're not doing something different and you have the ability to, you got to go for it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And another thing too is, like, back to the invisible work part. A lot of those people are not getting recognition.
Yeah.
A lot of the folks that are doing a lot of the, like, most important work.
Yep.
It may not be the most sexiest thing to cover, but like, they got to get recognized.
And I think, like, all of that goes back to, like, my upbringing in hip hop culture, right? Like, having an early experience growing up in South Seattle, growing up in Seattle, this diverse Seattle, growing up in hip hop communities, learning about each one teach one, learning about how it's important to be not inclusive from a narrative perspective or from an optics perspective, because that's how it works.
Yeah,
that's how when you make things inclusive, you have a safer event,
That's real.
jam.
Yep.
That's real.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's
cookout, party, whatever.
Mhm.
When people are feeling welcome and safe,
Yeah.
then safety comes from that.
That's real.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? When you want to do something together and you want to put something together, you want to win something, you want to enter a jam, like, when people are feeling good, that's how you win it. That's the
That's real.
vibe. It's the energy.
That's real.
So all these elements, these principles were imparted to me as a young person that I still bring to what I do in the work today. And not because DEI, I mean, it was called corporate social responsibility at one point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Like,
it's your life.
like, it was just what we were living.
Yeah, it's life. It's real life. Yeah.
And that's where I credit Seattle specifically so much. All my mentors, even the ones that I'm not that cool with anymore, everyone that's I've crossed paths with that have taught me a lesson along the way, I give them flowers, and I remember and I take that, I honor that experience moving forward. Again, not because it's the right thing to say or do, but because this literally is like the formula.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And just being inclusive, you kind of you limit misunderstandings between people anyways. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. And you're missing out on so much greatness that you can learn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got something?
Yeah, I was just gonna give you a chance to speak on like your role with the Seattle Film Commission and all that. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Seattle Film Commission, we were formed a couple years ago. I'm an inaugural commissioner, and it's been a wild ride. Film is a very niche space that I only recently got into in the last few years, just because I've been producing a lot of stuff through Milli and realized there was a whole community around that, and realized I was hiring a lot of people that weren't getting a lot of work. And I was like, oh, there's a space here. I'd love to be a part of it. I love communities and I'm in it. So I'm leaning into that. And so the Film Commission gave me a voice and gave me a platform. After I applied, there was 300 candidates for my position, and I got chosen. And I think that that's a reflection of my perspective and the way I do my work, especially representing advertising agencies. The commission is structured in an interesting way. There's 11 positions. Each position represents a different sector within film. So like on-screen talent, there's Lowell Dale, he represents those folks. He's an actor himself.
You got Lex Scope too.
Lex Scope is a newer member, and he represents festivals. Right. So it's a really interesting structure that has leaders from different sub communities. Where we can get together and we can talk about stuff like constantly and figure out things like we worked on the sale of Cinerama to SIF, and we were advising the city of Seattle on the public benefit that would be required for them to get some of the funds to buy that. And so that was really important work for our film community. And all the way up till now, a couple of years later, working on, there's a big film incentive that just got announced.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that? I'm gonna be honest, for us who may not be in the film space, but for the aspiring filmmakers who may not even know the information.
You guys are, though.
So, we are. You know that. We are. I'm learning, though. I'm learning.
You guys, I mean, all of you guys, I mean, we got audio techs. I already see it, right? The film world is interesting because it also shares it with the music world. Like a lot of audio engineers in the music production world also double as audio engineers for films.
That's real.
They score music for films.
That's real.
You guys can easily transfer your skills any day. And you got Benyam over here, and he's a filmmaker too, right?
For
so
sure.
all that to say is, there's a lot of overlap in skill sets, and there's a big community, and technology and media is big as ever. So it's so important that we're doing this work. And one of the things that is being done is making Washington State more competitive in the film landscape. And then me as a Seattle Film Commissioner, making Seattle more competitive.
Got it.
So at the Washington State level, we have incentives that were recently rolled out that have kind of taken Washington from closer to the bottom rung of things in terms of like attractiveness to make movies here. Towards not the top, but like much higher. This includes a incentive, which is one of the biggest ways that places like Georgia attracts Marvel, Vancouver, BC attracts everyone because they can literally just print money for filmmakers. That's why all the Seattle stuff is up there.
That makes sense.
Everything. Sony's up there. They make Spider-Verse and all that.
Got it.
So they have the best, right? LA, New York, obviously have their incentives. We have one too, and it's competitive. Washington State for a while had a 30, shout out to FilmWorks, Washington FilmWorks. If you want to learn anything more about this, they're the experts. I just know a little bit, but Washington FilmWorks is a nonprofit that manages the incentives and all the money and the grants for filmmaking in Washington. And we had an incentive that gives 30 to 40% cash back to productions for films, feature films, commercials, and also even episodic shows. But you had there were a lot of like, you'd have to film in rural Washington or you had to do certain things. And so that was for the longest. And so like, they filmed like, I think it was like World War Z or the TV show version of that out in like Yakima, stuff like that. So they would get shows like that would get a discount. It's really attractive, right? That's a lot of money if you scale it up millions of dollars. That incentive just recently, like last week, got expanded to statewide, including the city of Seattle.
Wow.
So if you shoot a commercial right now and the budget is $150K or more, you can get 30 to 40% back.
Wow.
Wow.
And that's huge.
That's big.
Yeah.
It's huge. Again, a lot of details in that. So, go to the website
But
and
it's
look
an
it up.
entry point for people to go learn.
Yeah.
I love that.
Learn, and also, most importantly, an entry point for the powers that be to bring back a lot of productions here.
Yeah.
Because there's no excuse. They're going to make money back. And so that should trickle down into a lot more opportunities.
That's real.
For people to not have to move to LA.
Yeah.
And they can stay here and be filmmakers and make good money.
Yeah.
So that's a really big part of the mission of our ecosystem, the filmmaking kind of policy folk.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And we're volunteers. I don't get paid doing that.
I love
I'm
it.
just here to help.
Yeah, I love that though. I love because a lot of what I feel like does keep us from excelling, it's not about the talent or the creativity. It is the information.
Yep.
There's a barrier, there's a gap, and sometimes
some people don't know about this stuff.
Yeah, it's just like learning a couple little things will get you on your way.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah, and I also want to add that 150K minimum spend is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So please know that there's a lot of stuff out there for smaller filmmakers, smaller budgets. There's grants. Washington Filmworks has a lot of stuff for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
So if you are starting out, you're a lot smaller. You're trying to make a film. There's so much there. So in the spirit of information, make sure you go check all that stuff out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Man, that's so dope.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So I know you're busy, but I got a couple more questions.
Cool.
First one is, bro, I'm just curious, like, what does self-care look like for you? Because obviously, when we have high performing people up here, I'm just always curious to know, like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's a moving goalpost. So one thing that changed for me in recent years was that, especially after COVID, breakdancing wasn't really the smartest or more sustainable thing for me anymore. I had to kind of retire from that. Around COVID time, I realized I was nursing injuries from my 20s, and I don't think that was gonna work out very well as I went into my 30s and started getting. Also in COVID, I realized I don't even know if I'm leaving my house. So I need to start doing other stuff. And so I'm in a transitional period of figuring out when I used to treat my life like an athlete. Like I was dancing 4 times a week.
Okay.
Going to practice, you know what I mean? Like cross training so I could go and travel and battle. Now I've replaced that with a lot of different things. Exercise is really important. Moving my body as a dancer growing up, and expressing myself. That's really important for my self-care. It's a therapy. It's an outlet. Yeah. And also physicality of it, is important. So I do a lot of different things, boxing, running, biking, all that stuff. That's really important, especially as a business owner. Getting up and just moving some stress through my body every day. And just creating some endorphins just naturally, huge. Yeah. Everything for me to stay grounded and balanced. I meditate and I don't talk about it. Normalize doing stuff and not talking about it. I do therapy. Right. I don't talk that much about it, but I will talk to anyone who wants to talk about it. You know what I mean? I don't need to make a video or a podcast about it, but I do encourage it. Meditation has been a part of my life for many years now. Even just 20 minutes of quieting my brain, quieting my mind every day has changed the way that I'm wired. And then I cook. I love cooking.
Nice.
Big thing. It's a big therapeutic thing.
Nice. I love it, bro. I just love asking that question because I feel like it's important for people to understand. We'll get all that stuff done, but
this is the life stuff.
You got to live life, Yeah. What excites you for the future?
So much. At the same time, it's important that we continue to ask this question in these times. As I'm a very political person, I'm not expecting everyone to be. I care a lot about other people around me and things around me, and I get really, really in my feelings about all that stuff. And I work that out in therapy, but I also try to spread that in that way of saying I know we get caught up in debates and we in the comments and we argue, but just also grounding it in a value. It's like I care a lot about the world.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the movements and the communities and the people like me or that think like me or that think like us, that care about each other and the communities. I'm excited to see our response to everything going on right now. The responses that have been worked on for decades now, but also the responses that are culminating at this moment. I think adversity, even especially at the societal level, creates a lot of solidarity and brings a lot of people into the fold and activates a lot of people in a way that is, again, unfortunate circumstantially, but incredibly powerful in the long run.
That's real.
So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see young people. I'm a true millennial. I love Gen Z. I love to see how ethical they are, how much they care about the world, how much they want to fight this fight, and how much they are already shifting things narratively.
That's real.
I'm excited about our communities, our diverse communities, who are principled, who carry the weight and the memory of their ancestors and their heritage, and the immigrants and the people that fought to get here, or the people that fought for their freedom. I'm excited for those people to continue to be leaders, to raise children, to build their communities. Those things are so inspiring and exciting to me. And I'm excited for the Sonics to come back.
Hey.
I love that. I love that.
That was dope.
Get them back.
That was dope.
Future's bright.
Yeah.
Future's bright. No, I love that. I love that, man.
I also want to ask you, like, how can people get involved with the Milli Agency, and also how can people reach out to you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram personally is Mike Steezy. You can also reach out to us on our agency, which is at Milli Agency. To get involved with us, that's the easy thing. We have a studio down in Belltown. We've got a website, and you can do the little email thing, go straight to me. You can hit me direct on Instagram. I am an open door. Just come correct. You know what I mean? Don't be weird. But like, again, people first. We are interested in helping you with your idea, supporting your event, hosting it at our space, helping you with your film, having a conversation, looking at an internship opportunity, or helping you wayfind. Maybe it's not with us, but it's for someone else in our industry. We want to be that bridge. So if you're interested in breaking in, if you're interested in just having a conversation with me, just bear with me on my scheduling, but we'll make it happen. That's how we get involved. I don't need nothing from nobody. I just want you to tap in and break this kind of Seattle, like, we're too cool. I'm not. Even if I've got a little bit of a resting whatever face, trust me, I'm down to have a conversation. And here's the other thing, like, there's a lot of stuff happening in our community, and it's gated and insulated, not even intentionally. So please, like, help me help you invade these spaces and these rooms. We do a regular mixer. I think it's about quarterly right now. I don't know, GK, you tell me. It's called High Res, and it's a free creative mixer that we try to do at our studio space. So people are welcome to that. So you tap into Milli Agency, subscribe to our newsletter, go to our Instagram. We post about that stuff. So just tap in. And if you have questions, or you want, especially on the film commission side, like, my job is to literally, like, answer questions and, like, facilitate conversations and send advice back to the city.
Got it.
So if you have gripes and things, please, I'm the messenger, but, like, hit me up. I'm your voice.
I love it.
Nice.
I love it. So final question, we ask every guest this question, brother. If you can, what's one word to describe what keeps you on the up and up, and why?
Gratitude. I know it's cheesy.
That's good. Why gratitude, though?
Good.
Yeah, you can't be in a mindset of fear, or a mindset of disdain, or even be angry if you're being grateful, if you're feeling grateful for something.
Right.
And I always try to ask myself in my toughest moments, like, look around you, look at what you have. Remember when you wanted these things, and that grounds me. That's a meditation I try to do as often as I can. And especially with everything going on in the world right now, I am so grateful for my health, for the opportunity to come to a podcast and talk about a business that I run, that I get to has been built by so many amazing people in my life. Like these are like 1 in a million things that could happen. It could have been gone so differently.
Yeah.
And so gratitude keeps me on the up and up. Gratitude for my parents and the communities that came before me. Gratitude for Cho, who laid the groundwork for the hip hop organizations that I got to go and get inspired by and start. All these things are like important to like remember, not just to be like, oh, thank you, but like, man, I'm so glad that I had that experience.
Keep it all connected.
Yeah, the connection of that. So yeah.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
And then I know that hopefully one day someone else gets to experience some of the seeds or the gems or the the connections that I get to leave behind.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. That's what we're here for, bro. The next generation.
Yeah.
Like you said, we ain't going to see it. Yeah. We ain't going to see it for ourselves.
Yeah.
So we got to leave it.
Yeah.
Man, well, Mike, just want to thank you again for being here, bro.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
Super
Appreciate
powerful conversation. I'm super inspired just sitting here. But I'm sure the audience definitely picked up some stuff. And we wish you much success moving forward with everything you got going on, bro.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, and thank you for what you guys are doing.
And you guys support with us here at the Up and Up always, bro.
Always.
Yeah, likewise.
Always,
yeah.
With that being said, I think it's safe to say Michael Huang is officially a member of the Up and Up. Can we get a round of applause, man? Give it up. Give it up. Thank you, brother.
To continue supporting the podcast and the entire Up and Up movement, be sure to rate, review, like, and subscribe.
As well as follow us @_ the Up and Up on all social media platforms to stay connected with everything the Up and Up has coming your way.
Thanks for listening, and until the next one,
keep it on the Up and Up.